A big fear for women is this: I am worthy of trusting myself. I am worthy of being visible. I am worthy of actually not explaining myself or apologizing that I know this. I can just say it and I don't need to explain it.
Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, the podcast empowering empathic women who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their intuition, begin to trust their sensitivities, find inner clarity, and show up with embodied, unstoppable confidence in their daily lives. I am your host, Olivia Ashley, an empath and intuitive, and I am so happy you're here. Hello, friends. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked. It's Olivia here. In today's episode, I sit down with the incredible Christina L. an internationally recognized clinical hypnotherapist, rapid transformational therapist, empowerment coach, and Reiki master. After 3 decades in corporate leadership, she transformed her own journey of overcoming adversity into the creation of her signature Wise Woods method, which now helps women all around the world break free from self-sabotage, trust themselves deeply, and live with their true fulfillment. With that background, we use this conversation to help you discover how hidden subconscious programs shape your daily choices and how you can finally release them, why surface level confidence isn't enough and what it takes to cultivate deep, sustainable self-belief, and how hypnotherapy can bridge the gap between your mind and your intuition so you can live with more clarity, freedom, and flow. This one is packed with so much wisdom, so let's get right into it. Here's my conversation with Christina. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, Christina. I'm truly honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much, Olivia. I'm really happy to be here.
I am excited for this conversation, and I'd like to start with touching on you've had such a journey from corporate leadership and coming into your current work where you've created the Wise Woods method, which blends hypnotherapy, coaching, and energy healing. Wow, what a trifecta. And I would love to hear about the turning point that shifted you into this path of moving from corporate to helping women transform their inner world.
Yeah, so there was a moment that I realized I needed to touch back in with who I am and why I'm here and why I was doing all the things that I was doing. So it probably looked like a meltdown to the world and what was going on in my world, but when I look back in hindsight, we're able to see and have a lot more clarity. But yeah, like you said, I'd been in corporate for about 30 years and doing really well. On the outside, everything would look like she was extremely successful and had all the promotions and doing well. My marriage was a long one, 25 years. I had 2 kids about to go off to college, but I hit a point where it was obvious the marriage wasn't doing well. I wasn't happy. I was super stressed. My health definitely wasn't doing well. I started to have some anxiety and autoimmune diseases and things like that. But I don't think that are all that uncommon with a lot of women, really, really burned out. But I just had a moment when I realized, gosh, is this where I want to go? And I had a kind of an awakening that said, when are you going to stop just worrying and doing what you're supposed to do and really look within? And so that's what I did. I dove really deep within and really discovered that a lot of the things that were driving my behavior and my sense of worth wasn't really what my sense of worth was based on. And once that shifted, that's when I shifted my career, my life. Everything kind of shifted, and I shifted into a whole new world of helping women and wanting them to find their own self belief and what they're really about because they're already worthy.
Yes, you are. If you're listening, and each of us already are, it's just remembering that. So I love this. It leads right into really the bulk of what we're going to talk about today, which is where I would like to start at a broader level before we dive a little bit deeper, is how do you see beliefs and internal programs shaping who we are and how we move through our life? Like, how are those affecting us? And just getting everyone listening on board of really the, I'd say, foundational aspects of what we're going to get deeper into.
Yeah. I see them as everything. So our subconscious mind, our beliefs, our programs are really the lens that we feel and see and sense, and the way we feel about ourselves and the way we see ourselves in the world and the way we hear everything and sense everything and feel everything. And sometimes we feel something might be off, but the subconscious mind is our body and is our the way we interpret things. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the truth, but it feels like the truth. So that subconscious mind, the programs from how we're raised, our community, the collective consciousness, religions, our school that we were, indoctrinated in, what the teacher said, all these things are that belief system. And so, we kind of navigate all these beliefs because we want to fit in or be accepted, but it's truly around what keeps us safe. So at the root level, and just keeping it real high level, those programs are really, they don't care if they're right or wrong or good or bad. They're really just there to keep us safe. And I think that's really important to know, because when you think about that, it's like, wait, what? It doesn't care if they're right or wrong. They're just there to keep us safe. That really allows us to say, oh, wait, that's not even true. It just is there to keep me safe. That allows us to throw some of those things out.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense and is a really helpful definition and overview of those, which leads me into I know that a lot of those beliefs and programs can start to create blocks that those just start to happen or we don't look at things. And why do you believe it's so important we start to bring awareness to not just our beliefs and programs, but to the blocks? Why is this even important to start to look at and work with? How can that help us?
Yeah, well, they're blocking our authenticity, why we're here, our soul's mission, our soul's purpose for being here, our amazing truths about us, our gifts. These things that block us are blocking us from speaking our truth, our creativity, all the things that make life easy, and just it's our flow. So when we have a block that says don't speak your truth or be shy or have anxiety and don't do that thing, you're not good enough, you're not worthy of saying that or making enough money, you're not sharing your gifts, you're not being who you're meant to be. So there's so many blocks, but I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy, or don't trust your intuition, don't trust that nudge. Think about what that's stopping you from doing or sharing, or the connections you're missing out on. That's huge.
It is huge. It can hold us back. But I think so many of us don't even know, on some level that we have these blocks. So I
We
know we'll get
don't.
into this further, but just on a base level, how can someone start to identify these beliefs or programs or blocks? Or how do we know we are having them or we're maybe stuck in that they don't serve us anymore?
Yeah. I think, first of all, just know we all have them. Okay. And it's normal. We all have them. It doesn't mean that we grew up in a bad situation or had anything terrible happen to us. We are human and we all have blocks. We all have beliefs that were created to navigate the world, period. So we all have them, and we all can release some blocks. So again, we're human. And the way that we can start is just to get curious about behaviors, about habits, about triggers, about, why do I say that? Why do I do that? I think that just trusting our nudges, our intuition, I think that was one of the things that helped me with my big awakening and my shift was the sky did not part, or nothing really amazing happened, but I started to get curious about, why do I always spend a ton of money, get a lot of debt, pay it off, and then get it again? Why do I do that? That was something I had to get curious about. I was a grown up. No one was going to pull me aside and say, Christina, why do you have this habit? Until I realized there must be something to that. Why do I over emotional eat all the time? Why do I do that? I got to get curious. Well, I was trying to fill a void. I was trying to fill something up. So once we just get curious, then it can kind of lead a little breadcrumbs to something maybe deeper, a block. And that block can help us peel it away to find out, wow, money doesn't make me feel that way. Once I found out my credit card debt went away. Once I found out I was good enough, it's like, wow, I never thought the connection was there, but that was there. So just getting curious. And another area is what are you saying to yourself? The words that we say are curses or blessings. And the words, our body and our subconscious mind is really paying attention to the words that we say. And so I think that's a really good place and an easy place to start is how are you talking to yourself? Because those are really indicative of the beliefs that you do have about yourself.
Yes, isn't that the truth? That is where we start, that inner programming, that self-talk, that inner critic, starting to notice, zooming out and going, what is replaying in my mind day in and day out? And how can I start to just look at that and maybe shift that? Because I see that we are so much in the power seat of our reality. And that's where it kind of can be fun to look at these and have this, like you said, be a curious exploration.
Yeah, and another area too is, I strongly, strongly believe as our reality is a mirror of what's going on the inside. So, if we're really courageous and instead of complaining or saying those people did that to me or this situation is terrible, is really just stop and say, wait, my outer world is a mirror of my inner world and what's going on, not to blame ourselves for the negativity or what's going on, but it really does remove that victim mentality and just says, wait, if I can only be a vibrational match for what's going on the inside, what is it in me that believes something about me? We don't have to have the answers, just again, the curiosity.
Yes, exactly. That's where it's like pulling that thread. Just let the thread come. You don't have to unravel the whole yarn ball, but just pull the thread and see what comes and know it's a journey. That yarn ball may never end, but
Yeah.
it's just an experience that can benefit. So I want to get a little bit more specific around, I see a lot of intuitive and empathic women really struggling with integrating and moving through this self trust. Like they want to find self trust, but they have a lot of doubt or fear around how are people going to see me if I show up more in this way? Or God forbid, I follow a calling that I have, and
Yeah.
how do I do that? In your experience with working with so many women, are there any big blocks that you see, especially from that frame I just gave, that are holding us back from truly trusting ourselves, from truly saying, like I can have fear, I can have those programs, but ultimately I want to move forward. So, how can I unblock that?
Oh, yeah. So this is probably the number one thing that I work on my clients with is they'll come to me and say, I want to work on my intuition. I want to trust myself. And it's funny as they're looking for, a magical hypnotherapy session that gives them 3 steps to find their intuition. And it's a big fear of our power because we are so incredibly powerful and our intuition is our divine gift. It's there. We all have it. And it's really these blocks that we have that we just need to peel away. So it's the opposite. We don't go seek our intuition, it's already there. We seek the blocks to peel it away, and then it's there. So that power, because we are so powerful when we peel away the blocks. So, what is it? Where is it? It's seeking the block. When did we disconnect from ourselves and stop trusting? Where did we abandon ourselves? Where did we feel the fear of our power would do something or harm us, or we would be so visible that we would not receive love, we would not receive this. It's typically a visibility fear that we would be perceived or we would be disconnected from the people that we love. So that's a big one. Another one is not trusting that we will be capable of doing something with this with our intuition and our power, so or we won't recognize it. And that's again just leaning into our knowingness, because intuition is just our knowingness. Because most people will say, well, how do I know if it's intuition or just this? And there isn't a roadmap or a book that says it feels like this or that, because it feels different for everyone, right? So, a big fear for women is this: I am worthy of trusting myself. I am worthy of being visible. I am worthy of actually not explaining myself or apologizing that I know this. I can just say it and I don't need to explain it. I already just know that my kid is sick and I don't care what the doctor said. I already know this, that I need to do this and we need to leave. I just know this. I need to quit this job and go here. I just know it. I feel it. Or I need to make this executive decision and do this for the job. How many times have we all done that? And somebody talks us out of it.
Absolutely. And I want to pull on that a little bit more around power and confidence because I see that those are the pieces that I am hoping to help my community get to of it's not just identifying your intuition like you're saying. It's not just going, okay, I know I have it and it's that knowing, but it's having the confidence and the inherent, yeah, that power, that ability to step into power to be able to follow that through. So, how can we cultivate that? How can you define or how do you see power? What does that look like in a representative way that we can start to sink into? And also, where does that confidence come from and how do we truly have it?
This might feel like I'm going off, but I'm not. I'll circle back. But one of the things that I've been working with women quite a bit on is this category of a mother wound because confidence comes from this knowing what we know and speaking it. And when we are carrying the burden so often and feeling like we can't speak up for a lot of the burden that we're carrying, and like we just have to. So whether you're a mother or not, so that mother is an archetype, right? Of I'm doing a lot and I'm supposed to do a lot and I have to do a lot and no, and I'm not asking for support. So many women now, there's a lot of guilt, right? The people pleasers of the world. We have to, we'll earn love, we'll get love. It's exhausting. So a lot of it has to do with a lot of women are very frustrated. They're angry. They're not speaking up. They're not expressing how they feel. And when we bottle all that down, we are losing confidence because we are abandoning ourselves, right? We're not connected to ourselves because we are angry. We're this, we're that. So we're not expressing ourselves. When we start to reconnect with how do you really feel? Well, I feel like I'm doing everything and I'm not getting any support. And yet probably one of the number one things women come to me and say is, I shouldn't be unhappy. I have everything in my life. Why do I feel unsatisfied in my life? I feel actually guilty. Well, because you're doing everything and you're not speaking up and you feel like you should be happy, but you're not expressing yourself. When we express ourselves, this isn't about saying, I need help. It's actually about just being who you are. No person is meant to do everything. When we speak who we are, we become more confident. We are in our power. It's balance. It's anything in nature needs balance. And this is about balance. It's about healing that part of us that is empowered. So it's becoming more empowered. So if that kind of circles back, it's let's express how we really feel and stop burying how we really feel. And when you do, you become confident because the reality is we're burying things that we truly feel. And that's why people are coming to me saying, but I have everything. Why do I still not feel happy? Because you're not expressing how you feel. And on paper, we have everything, but you're not feeling heard or seen.
Yes, what I'm seeing too, it's this, I think we've misidentified our worth and we have everything by our actions. Well, I cleaned the house. Well, I went and I did my job and I got the kids ready and things are quote unquote, I checked the boxes. But like you said, but we're missing the core piece of where were you in that equation? What made you happy? What are you wanting to express, or how do you fill your cup, right? You're expressing and doing for all these external aspects, but we're being left to the side. And so, how do you start to move yourself front and center and not in a selfish way, but in an
No.
empowered way, like you're saying, that brings you back to, okay, I should be the circle of my little earth and community. And yes, I still have to do that job and do those things,
Yeah.
but where do you start to put in aspects that fill you, fuel you, and bring that confidence in?
Exactly. And it feels very empowering to say, and it's more imbalanced to say, I feel I need, maybe it is alone time, maybe it is self care, Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, I need a creative outlet. Who knows what it is? But to say it, to be expressed, it's empowering to take care of ourselves, to connect with what we do need, and to have that balance in our lives. And also just reconnect with ourselves to know what it is. Because if we really get quiet, like, what is it that we really want and need? We know what everybody else needs quite a bit, whether it's at work, at home, our friends. But when we really tune into what is it that's missing within us, sometimes we're like, I don't know. We'll hire a lot of coaches and people or therapists or friends to help us feel. We outsource our power quite often. That's actually an epidemic, to outsource our power. But personal power, we struggle with it quite a bit.
Yes, and that's where intuition, that's where I always see that is the compass. That's the space you get to go in and ask and receive because the answers are there. Your body knows. We have some very simple tools that can start to do that, but I do think there is such power in like the work you're doing, right? Or having someone or the person that can come in and reflect. And that's what always amazes me in the intuitive readings I do is that half the time the response is, oh, I knew that, or I was
Oh,
shown
yeah.
that, or I've heard that. And I'm like, amazing. Like, I'm not your guru, right? I'm not here to give you the answers. I'm here to feel into your energy and reflect back what maybe you've heard or but you don't know it almost till you hear it in a way. So sometimes when you're really strong with your intuition, you can do that. But even for myself, it's helpful to get
Oh,
that
yeah.
guidance. And so ultimately, it's going to come down to you empowering you.
Yeah. And honestly, we are afraid sometimes of our own emotions. A lot of times, like you said, that with clients, we're afraid of our anger, how angry we might get, or our sadness, how sad we might get at that person or that situation. It's like, I'll get a little sad, but not that bad because we're afraid it'll overwhelm us. So, a lot of times, we don't want to actually go there with the feelings. And almost every time, it's not going to engulf us and swallow us. We're actually going to embody all of us and become empowered.
Exactly. And having those emotions doesn't mean, I think in women, we start to equate that with, oh no, now maybe I don't have it all together. Maybe I'm not as
Right.
confident as I think because I am struggling with this or I'm feeling this or I'm moving through this grief. And how dare I almost, I'm meant to just show up and be this
Right. I'm going to
perfect.
lose it. Yeah.
Yes, but that I think is a perfect segue into talking about what you do so beautifully, which is hypnotherapy and this mix of healing that you offer and can bring to people. So, I would love to talk about what is hypnotherapy. If you're new to it,
Yeah.
I know of it, but I've never done it. Can you share
Sure.
what it really is and how you see that it can help us with all these things that we're talking about, programming blocks, subconscious patterns? Yes, go
Yeah.
into it.
Sure, sure. So hypnotherapy is a place where we go into where the mind is very suggestible. So it's getting into, feels like a meditative state, a theta brainwave state. And we have our conscious mind, which is our analytical thinking mind, which is great, but it's only 5% of how we think and see the world. Subconscious mind is our feeling mind. It's also our body. I like to feel that our subconscious mind is really kind of our access to our soul. That's why I use energy healing as well. But in hypnotherapy, and we kind of bypass the analytical thinking mind, the part that says, you really shouldn't think that. Don't worry about that. We skip it. We go straight to your subconscious, which is 95% of how you feel and see the world. But it's suggestible. It's like a little sponge. So you can take in bad programming suggestions like be quiet, just be a good girl. Don't worry about that. Just do what everybody says and be obedient and go walk the straight line and everything will be okay in life. Or we can give it really good suggestions. We can also find out what those programs are. We can eliminate them and then we can rewire in the truth, which is you're worthy, you're open to suggestions. So in hypnosis, we find out what the programs are and we rewire in the truth through audio recordings and what you say. But you got to be in a certain brainwave to get into that suggestible state. So it's just a very open to suggestions place, which is pretty cool because our brain has neuroplasticity and can rewire beliefs. It's very powerful.
That sounds incredible. And I want to land it a little bit more too of so sometimes, right, as you're saying, our conscious mind is going to say one thing and then our body or intuition is going to say another. So can you give an example or practices of how hypnotherapy will bridge that gap between that subconscious mind and intuitive knowing? So I know in the session things will come forward, but then how do you take that to integrate that? What does that look like?
Yeah. So you may have heard the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Okay. So, trauma or memories is trapped in our body. And when we use hypnotherapy to clear things, we're able to rewire in those beliefs. So your intuition is that nudge that knows the truth, that has that knowing. So we're really just eliminating those beliefs that are blocking your truth, your knowing. So we're able to really kind of allow the body to trust your knowingness, to trust the truth, and rewire and allow your body to understand if it was trauma or anything, to re-look at it and have a paradigm shift. So the one thing about the subconscious mind, which is a body, is it doesn't know how old we are. So we're able to say, yes, that did happen then. And yes, we understand why you believe that now and why you're reacting physically to that now. That was then, and this is now. Now we're 30, we're 40, we're 50. We don't live in that situation now. So now we're safe. Now it's different. Now we know this. We have these tools. So now you can be calm, nervous system. Let's talk to your body. Let's rewire in this new thing. And it allows your intuition to really tune in to safety and your body to say, oh, okay, I can feel calm. Anxiety, I don't need you anymore. I can feel calm because anxiety is just a protection mechanism that's there to keep you safe. And when it's not needed, it doesn't need to show up anymore.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm assuming as you're doing this work, since you're shifting so much of your inner landscape, that then the outer landscape, how you talked about, and I truly believe in that too, we mirror each other. And so things start to shift. Your reality starts to adjust because of this inner work that you're doing. And I'm curious, I love stories. I think that's a really tangible way for us to understand the impact. Do you have a favorite story from yourself or a client you would be okay sharing that illustrates how hypnotherapy and the work that you're doing can create lasting transformation, whether it's from feeling like stuck to freedom or just, that inner work to outer work representation?
Yeah, yeah. I work with clients all over the world, and I've been working with a client for about a year because she had quite a bit of trauma, quite a bit of abuse as a child. And so which put her in a lot of codependent relationships. And she's starting to build her self-esteem, her self-confidence, and recognize these codependent relationships that she was in, even at work, codependent bosses. She'd be the one to stay up till 2 a.m. doing projects and then get angry that she did it. But in this relationship, she realized she needed to have a break from a boyfriend and said, I need to have time on my own and separate. But she all the while, like many people that break up, like, but I still want to get back together. I still want to marry him. I still want to be with him. Like, let's just have you do some me time, which felt very uncomfortable for her, as you know, or for people to take a break and do some me time. But a lot of courage to do that. And during this break, as she's feeling really positive about herself, he stops communicating with her. And I told her, I said, look, as you get stronger, as you start to change and know that your worthiness and your belief, people around you will change. Circumstances change. She started to have boundaries, like she wouldn't tolerate the communication that was there for her. To me, boundaries are what are you available for and what are you not available for? And she wasn't available for the way he spoke to her. Things were just changing. She wasn't fighting. She was like, I'm not available for that. And she started to get kind of upset, like, he's not calling me. He's not responding. Like, just let this be. And after a while, she started to say, you know what? That isn't a healthy relationship for me. I really am worthy of a person who honors me and loves me. And so on her own, she started to say, he stopped communicating with me because I'm not available for an unhealthy relationship, right? I said, exactly. This sort of just happens naturally when you heal other people around you, sometimes the universe just allows things to separate. And so now she's her work, her income has tripled, she's traveling, she's loving herself. And so, not that we want the relationships, to dissipate and leave, but when they're unhealthy, this is what happens naturally. And I just love that for her because it wasn't a healthy relationship and she didn't plan it. It just happened because she started to love herself.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's so beautiful. It's hard. It's so
It's
hard
hard.
to challenge what we've been working with. And oftentimes I think we don't see it. It's hard to see that mirror. It's hard to go, like she probably thought it was working to a lot of degrees. But once you start kind of stepping away, having that space, doing the work of looking at yourself and saying, I'm putting myself forward, that's where it's like I always see like new glasses get put on, a new filter,
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
perspective gets to
Yeah.
come forward. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a lot of amazing hypnotherapy stories, like people who didn't know they were adopted. I mean, so many things come up where people are in the womb and hear doctors talking, their mother talking. But I think that's more of a real relatable, I think, inspiring story.
Yes, but I'm like, do I pull that thread of what you just said? Because that
Oh, there's
sounds
so many. I'm happy
incredible.
to share. They're amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think one question would be, do you see working in hypnotherapy really expands your own personal belief system or your own reality of what you thought was human and, the structures and constructs? Is there anything that's really stuck out from you as being that facilitator of, wow, I've really stepped into learning more about the nature of this space? And is there any examples
Oh,
you
yeah.
can share?
Oh, yeah. Right away, people showed me how we hear everything, even before we're born. Examples where they would go back and ask their mother, did this happen? Did the doctor say, did this happen when you were pregnant? Did dad say this? Did this happen? And stories were true. And I don't know why that surprised me to the details. I mean, it's very specific details. Or when I was adopted, was I returned? And she'd go check with the agency, and yes, that happened. So, but what it's expanded me to believe and know is how incredibly powerful we are. I mean, in hypnosis, you can create any reality that we want. I mean, we can literally hypnotize and say you're allergic to roses and come out of hypnosis. There's scientific proof of this that you become allergic to roses because we literally can create our own belief system. This is science. So we are incredibly powerful. We literally become our own beliefs. So if you've not read the biology of beliefs and all of these things, I'm a medical intuitive as well. So I use this to help people. I'm not a doctor, but I work with a lot of people with health issues. And so I get to see how their beliefs and their emotions impact their health. And so I use hypnosis to help get relief of pain and health where they can't find relief in other areas, which I never thought I would do that work. That is incredible. Someone that's been struggling with migraines for 10 years and it goes away with hypnosis or beliefs that they've had about themselves and they're able to be free of pain or irritable bowel syndrome or other areas. That's pretty incredible.
That's fascinating. And in those examples, do you see it's because you both illuminate the core root thing? And also, is there like emotional aspects tied to it that gets like addressed and released? Is that really where you see from your perspective, right? Not medically, but just how that shift happens in those sessions?
Yes, metaphysically. So
Mm,
emotional and physical. So mind and body connection. So my belief is yes, emotions impact our body, our beliefs impact our body. So emotions that are connected that manifest in health. So our emotions, are connected to our body and show up and manifest. So there's that quote that says, a tear that does not shed will find another organ to weep. It's not going away, it's showing up in some other way. So our body speaks to us. So when we have a disease, and so often a doctor cannot diagnose or cannot help us, or that medicine isn't working, there are ways to find out. Well, let's find out what emotions or what unmet needs are not expressed yet. Let's go in and find out Well, very often it's an inner child or something that just hasn't been expressed yet. And when we can express it and relieve that organ, any kind of Chinese medicine or anything, all these organs are connected to different emotions. We express it, the disease changes. It's all energy, it changes. And we're well past the mystery of knowing that every organ has a vibration and energy. We're past that. We all know it. We can all look it up and see it now. So,
Yes, but it's not well known. So thank you for
yeah.
clarifying that because
Yeah.
I was just listening to something that was explaining how the Chinese medicine system has been here for millennia, so long, and every disease can be rooted back to a specific emotion depending on the organ and where it's rooted. And
Yes.
so I found that just so fascinating. Like, yes, food and water and your environment all play roles, and yet I think there is a significant space where we in the Western medicine realms and in our culture don't quite equate for that emotional aspect. So it's so interesting just to hear from that
It is.
perspective. This is what's going on.
It's so interesting. Yeah, yeah, it really is. It's one of the actually another reason why I do hypnotherapy. I had mentioned a health issue, and a hypnotherapy audio was one of the things that helped me. And I had vertigo and it wouldn't go away, and it actually helped me. And I remember telling a doctor it helped me, and they laughed at me. And I thought, well, yeah, but it's working. It's helping me. Um, and so I'll never forget that because, yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
to follow our
Yes.
own path.
Yes, that's where right? Back to the intuitive piece of listen, trust yourself, advocate. That's what I've learned in my own medical journey and experiences is you are your own best advocate. And
Yeah.
so see what you can find. Okay. So moving into some other questions, I'm curious though, it's kind of similar to what we've been talking about. Do you see any patterns, like a collective theme? I know you brought up the mother wound
Yeah.
that people are moving through right now. Is there anything that's coming forward that's pretty consistent? And if so, what do you think this says about the healing we're being called to into as women today?
Yeah, I do. I see a collective of women who are moving out of the masculine into more of the feminine receiving. So much of their power has been in the doing, 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 and fixing, fixing, fixing. And they might not label it that, they might not understand that, but the frustration of wanting to not be in that active exhaustion. How do I move out of exhaustion? I'm tired. I don't want to do that all the time anymore. I want to be more in the receiving. I want to enjoy my life more. I want it to be more balanced. How do I even do that? Not knowing how to do it, which is fine. But I am seeing a lot more of a thing, whether they're, the executives I work with or stay at home moms or everybody in between, just that need and desire of, I don't feel balanced. I don't feel right, something's off. A lot about money, a lot about, is there another way to make money or do I have to do it this hard way? And oftentimes they are coming to me saying, I only know how to make money grinding. And intuitively, we end up figuring out that their beliefs that I'm working on them with is they have a belief that money has to be hard or it has to be earned the hard way. And we're working on the belief that, you know what, it doesn't have to be hard. So that's a big, big clearing, a pretty common one. And to me, it's lovely because we're moving into a much more balanced of feminine power and energy of receiving and creativity. And that is incredibly powerful.
Yes, it gets me so curious about how do we begin to uncover, do exactly what you're saying. Okay, we know we need more reception. We know we need a little bit more ease. We are capable and creative and can make money in different ways, but the programming has limited us. But once we grasp that, I feel like there is this new space of work that us women are going to identify in or create because it just has not existed. And I don't know what that is, but I can sense it and feel it. And you're affirming a lot of what I've been seeing as well of there's change afoot. There's something that's rebalancing, like you said. There
Yeah.
has been an imbalance, and there's been a lot of beauty and innovation and technology that's come out of it, but it feels like there's this bigger essence of, but there's a lot of strain, there's a lot of burnout, there's a lot of stress. And I think this intuitive rise and this willingness to listen is where we're going to see that it's like that puzzle piece of it's not the full puzzle, it's not going to fully fix it, but it's going to create a different picture for us.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we're in that space of not sure what it looks quite like, which I think is the piece that people are like, give me the roadmap, give me the roadmap. What's it going to look
Yes.
like? And it's more of what does this feel like right now? And clearing so many of a lot of ancestral healing and reinventing what our mothers did and grandmothers and so many generations felt like work or obligation or what we were meant to do felt like and looked like.
Absolutely. I think each generation in this last 50, 100 years, it's very distinctive, the shifts, the cycles, what the focus has been on and what we're opening. And I'm so curious. So I think leading into that, what's going to help us women listening and those who are in this space are I'd love to hear some simple daily practices or mindset shifts that we can start with to help us move from this self-doubt, this mistrust, this lack of confidence or expression into that I believe, I am confident, I am expressed.
Yeah. I think we need to just connect with something more powerful every day, whatever that is, whether that's nature, whether that's just closing our eyes and allowing the vertical light to come into our body into 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something. Because whenever I'm sure you do that with your sessions or I do that, everybody calms down so quickly. And it's just like, or put our hands on our heart. Put your hands on your heart and just breathe. Think about how quickly we get out of our mind and into our heart. And then look at the problem or look at the question or the conversation that you're about to have or the phone call you're going to make. So just breathe into our hearts and move the conversation or the words or the energy through your heart first. And so just the practice of am I in my head or in my heart? And let's be more heart conscious and breathe into our heart. And another practice is before you get out of bed is like, what is the intention? Your intentions have so much power. Maybe it is just, I need help today. I need guidance today. Give me a little guidance or clarity today. Or I want to have more hope. Today I need help with hope. I don't feel any hope. That's okay. Let's ask for help. I think that we don't ask for help from the universe enough. And we have free will and we do need to ask for help and guidance. And that always makes me feel better when I remember to ask for help and being mindful of how we speak to ourselves. I'm always going to say that.
I love those. Those are really simple, tangible practices. As soon as I asked that, it felt like, oh, more practices. I felt like my listeners were like, again, what else can we be doing? But I think you're completely right of it. It is very simple. It should not feel like, oh, I have to now go spend 2 hours doing my things to help me feel better in my day. Maybe that does feel good and that's what you like. But I agree with dropping in. I'm
Yeah.
here. I feel myself. And then I'm also supported. I feel the support of something bigger. I am a part of something much grander than this very specific struggle I'm facing. And you know what? I'm not going to remember this in 5 days from now, hopefully, or so, or years from now. And so that intention of how do I want to feel? How do I want to face this? And you, I think, always get that more grounded anchored perspective, as you said, when you drop into that heart. So those
Mm.
are really helpful.
Great. Great.
Yes. And building on that, we talked about boundaries a little bit, but I think that's the other aspect I see a lot of us struggle with is how do I set boundaries, especially when I have all of these things that are going on and I have to be a part of. But I think boundaries is where it starts to help combat that burnout or help bring in that feeling of, oh, I am in control. So, for those of us who just feel so much, who serve and help heal, what are some first steps we can take towards creating healthier boundaries without the guilt?
Yeah. A trick for me was I had to think of boundaries not as a wall because I think that's what I was taught boundaries were was, put up the wall and say no to the party and those types of things was someone taught me To think about what are you available to receive more, it felt a lot more inviting and kind of, okay, I have a filter for what I'm available to receive. I'm not available to receive this kind of energy or that kind of energy or too much of that or that type of vibe. I'm not available for someone that is going to come in and make my kids feel hectic or ruin my dinner or take up my time or this or that. I'm not available for that. So I find when we don't look at a boundary as like a big wall, because then I feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel like I got to be bossy. And then I feel mean. And I feel like nobody really wants to do that. And we feel like our masculine side has to come up. But what am I available to receive allows me to soften. And I'm not available for that. I'm tired and I'm just going to have to say no to this or that. I'm not available. I want to create more of a sacred space here or there. I'm not available at work. I'm a little bit busy with that. Maybe I can say yes to this or that. So, what am I available for? What am I not available for? And that receiving end, again, is that powerful feminine receiving energy. It's different than I got to build a fortress around me.
Absolutely. That was a really interesting and helpful perspective to hear. I don't think I've ever heard it described that way, but I absolutely know what you're talking about. It's a mix of like intentionality with
Yeah.
availability. That's at its core essence. We're energetic and we only have so much we can provide and give. And so, where and how are you setting things up? And as we know, and what you're sharing so much is our beliefs, our thoughts, all those things are shaping our truth and reality of how we're going to experience it. And I do definitely believe like it might not feel like you're doing anything when you're setting these boundaries, but in
Yeah.
reality, like you've put your stake in the ground energetically, and it's more easily can be a match for where that comes in. And yes, you have to physically say yes, no, all those things, but I
Right.
think it filters, it creates this filter I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I'm not available for somebody to come in my house and start screaming, that one's easy. But you can kind of start to see how it feels a lot easier.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd like to talk about seasons of life a little bit. I think we're always in this space of these practices, for the most part, are going to help us. We can be aware of our beliefs and our programs, and we're going to do that work no matter what. But what wisdom would you have to share around maintaining some level of consistency when we face maybe heavier seasons or seasons when we start to shift and that change comes in? I think that's where I see most people really struggle when those big things happen and then they get knocked off and everything comes to a halt. So I would just love to hear, how do we maintain this power, this expression and confidence no matter what season we're in?
Yeah, have compassion for yourself. Compassion, we throw that out the door and we're so hard on ourselves. Our maintenance for ourselves, our love for ourselves does not have to be a regimented system. That is not the definition of success, that you do your morning routine every single day. And if you don't, you're terrible. Seasons go like this. There are times I don't meditate. I don't do my journaling. I'm not in that season. I can't right now. I'm getting married in 3 weeks. Do you think I'm doing any of that? No. I have to have compassion for myself right now that I have more on my plate and I only have a little bit of time. So I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of that. And I'm having compassion for myself right now that I got more to do. So, compassion for what season are you in? And what does compassion mean? It means I love the season I'm in. I have tenderness and love and understanding. It's easier if we have compassion for someone else. So it's sometimes picturing ourselves and feeling that compassion for where we're at, what we're going through, what we're experiencing, looking at ourselves with all the stuff we've got going on. Like, wow, you got a lot going on. I've got so much compassion. Well, of course, I wouldn't expect more from you right now. And that just kind of is like, okay, yeah, I guess I could do a couple things here and there. So just give yourself a lot of compassion.
Yes, that's So much easier said than done, but such a good reminder. And I think what I'm really hearing is it's like let yourself reframe things. So if you really struggle when things get hard or like you're not as on, I think all of us want spring and summer and that feeling of that season of being so open and we're together and it's warm. And then we go into winter and fall and we close up and we're like, wait, how do I navigate? Our body asks for different things, all those things that come with that. It's compassion and acceptance, I think, of a level of be where you are, enjoy where you are, make the best of where you're at, but it doesn't equate to, again, like you said, that success, that definition of success. You're probably still being very successful. It just is probably going to look different because of where you're at.
Yeah. And, a big part of the work I do is inner child, inner parent. There's so many aspects of us. And all of that boils down to those parts need compassion. And that's why I say compassion. There are parts of you that are neglected and they need compassion. And we lawnmower right over them and say, I got to get this done. I need to do this. I need to do that. They're being ignored. And so you need to give them compassion. And they're like, hello, hello, I'm stressed. I need to play. I need to rest. I need this. Just give yourself compassion.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder. And this is my last real question for you before we start to close out. If you could leave the listeners with one truth about their worthiness and their intuition that could help them better believe in themselves and transform how they show up in life, huge, huge request. But what would that truth be? What would you have to say?
I would say that trust the answers are already within you. They really, really are. And it is your divine right. You are born with your intuition. It appears that people have stronger intuition or more intuition, but we all have it. You really, really have it. It's your divine right. It's there. It's your soul's. This is it. You have it. Your inner compass is there. So just trust it's there. And your soul's journey is just to peel it away to get to it. Your divine curriculum is right on track. You each have your own divine curriculum. So just trust it. You're not behind.
That was beautifully said. Thank you so much for that. And I always like to ask my guests an intuitive heart question to kind of close us out and wrap us up. And my question for you today is how has embracing your own intuition transformed your well being and the path of your life?
Oh, wow. It's completely transformed it. I heard a voice when I decided to leave corporate and change my life, and I trusted it. And I would still be doing a completely different career and have a completely different life. I wouldn't be helping women all over the world and wouldn't be having this life. I wouldn't be exposed to the wisdom I see within each person that I get to witness every day.
That's amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you followed that and you are listening and you're trusting, and it shows so much in the work you're doing and the impact and the wisdom that you shared here today. So, thank you so, so much for your time. This was such a delight. And my last question is just where can people connect with you and learn more about your work?
Oh, thank you so much. So Instagram is Christina.lwoods. My website's ChristinaLwoods.com. Those are the best places.
Amazing. I will link those in the show notes for anyone who wants to look into it further and get to know you more. Thank you again, Christina, for your time.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you for joining me on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of insight, guidance, or intuitive inspiration. To dive deeper into our community and get access to exclusive content, head to my website at www.olivia-ashley.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also connect with me on Instagram at wildlyolivia for daily inspiration and updates. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Trust it, nurture it, and let it guide you. Until next time, I'm Olivia Ashley, and I can't wait to connect with you again.